Let's talk about a video that's been making the rounds recently. In it, a Muslim woman expresses outrage over the lack of quiet, secluded spaces for prayer at an amusement park. She's upset that loud music is playing and that the environment doesn't cater to her religious needs. According to her, even entertainment venues should respect her faith and provide designated prayer areas. We'll dive into this story in today's video, but before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Right now, only 12% of viewers are subscribed, so join the community and help us grow. This isn't the first time she's voiced frustrations like this. In other videos, she's criticized local supermarkets for not offering enough halal food options. In fact, she's made a series of clips where she openly berates the place she lives, complaining about everything from cultural differences to the food on offer. Now here's the thing. Everyone has the right to practice their faith. That's a given. But there's a difference between asking for basic respect and demanding that every public space, especially secular ones like theme parks, be reshaped around personal religious expectations. When someone moves to a new country or culture, it's natural to face some differences. But integration means understanding that not every space will revolve around your customs. And if someone finds themselves repeatedly unhappy with the local norms, values, or lifestyle at a certain point, you have to ask, why stay? Constantly criticizing the country you live in while benefiting from its freedoms and infrastructure sends a conflicting message. Respect is a two-way street. If you expect accommodation, there also needs to be a willingness to adapt, coexist, and engage with the broader society, rather than demanding that it change entirely for you. Everyone deserves dignity, but no one is entitled to reshape an entire culture just to avoid discomfort. Have a watch.
I was struggling to pray at the amusement park, and this happened. This place used to have a multi-faith room here, but it's gone now. So now we had to look for a secluded place to pray, and we found this. We had to now look for the direction of prayer, of course. But then we realized this place had music playing.
This would have been a really nice place to pray if there was no music.
So our search continued until we found this place. They actually moved the prayer room to here now. This was perfect. They even had a separate entrance for men and women. Inside they had multiple prayer mats and even a wudu station. Washing feet got a lot easier. The women's area is the same. Gotta make sure the shoes are off. It was very clean and had multiple prayer mats and our own wudu station.
Please don't come in here. It's the women's section only.
I love that it's private.
I'm so happy to have this wudu station in the women's section now, because now I can take my veil off to make wudu and I don't have to fear the fact that somebody can come in and watch me do it.
What happens if a man goes in the women's section like I did that one time?
The same thing that happened to you. We'll leave it at that.
At the end of the day, mutual respect is key. If someone chooses to live in a diverse, secular society, it's reasonable to expect some cultural differences. No country can or should bend every public space or institution to fit individual preferences. There's a difference between asking for understanding and demanding conformity. If someone finds themselves constantly at odds with the society around them, perhaps the more honest question to ask is whether this environment is truly the right fit. A grooming gang victim has walked away from a Home Office panel set up to look into a national inquiry over fears of being silenced. In her letter of resignation, Fiona Goddard alleged the secretive conduct and conditions imposed on survivors on the Victim Survivor Liaison panel had led to a toxic, fearful environment. The panel is supporting the government's national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal, which Sir Keir Starmer ordered earlier this year, after a report by Baroness Casey found that there were still widespread problems with how the state understood and tackled the issue. Bradford abuse victim Ms. Goddard said there were a multitude of issues that lead to her resignation and described serious concern with the ongoing process of the inquiry. She wrote in a letter, "The dynamics of this inquiry, including potential chairs and progress, should have been conducted openly and honestly by the government, and survivors should have had the choice to voice their opinions if they decided to. Instead, the secretive conduct and conditions imposed on survivors has led to a toxic, fearful environment, and there is a high risk of people feeling silenced all over again. As such, I have made the difficult decision to leave the Victims Survivor Liaison panel and not continue with the meetings this week." Ms. Goddard also cited concerns around certain members of the panel and their connections with members of the Labour government, which presents conflict of interest and incentives. She further referred to the condescending and controlling language used towards survivors. One of my main issues was being told in the beginning that the survivors on the panel were to be consulted on the independent chair. And yet when the time came, we were told it was first come, first served, and many did not make it into the meeting, the letter stated. Each survivor has a valuable experience to bring to the table after years of being ignored, derided, and silenced. To tell them their voices mattered and then once again shut them out no doubt left some survivors feeling like they did before, unheard and unimportant. I hope that in leaving the panel, someone else will be given the opportunity to make sure their voice is heard. It is revealed yesterday that the candidates shortlisted to chair the national inquiry into grooming gangs are police officer Jim Gamble and social worker Annie Hudson. Ms. Goddard said having either candidate lead the inquiry would once again be letting services mark their own homework. A number of other campaigners believe someone with a legal background should lead the inquiry, including Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick, who thinks the chair should have deep experience of criminal cases necessary for handling the deeply complex information involved. Concluding her letter of resignation, she wrote, "My final hope is that the Home Office and government also start to consider the survivors and the potential impact of their treatment and approach the process going forward in a more open, honest, and respectful manner." In response to Ms. Goddard's letter of resignation, Mr. Jenrick said it suggests the Prime Minister is just not serious about delivering answers the victim so desperately deserves. He wrote to X, "A senior judge with deep experience of criminal and family cases is best placed to interrogate the evidence and extract answers that are not forthcoming. The evidence will inevitably challenge the integrity of the police and social services at the highest levels, who repeatedly failed the victims and then covered their tracks. Yet the two contenders to lead the inquiry have backgrounds in both services. That's why a rape gang survivor has resigned from the task force, citing disturbing conflicts of interest. Keir Starmer dragged his feet before setting up this inquiry, and this latest development suggests that once again, he is just not serious about delivering answers the victims so desperately deserve. The Conservatives have called on the government to restructure its national inquiry to ensure it is independent, credible, and led by a sitting or recently retired senior judge. The party said Ms. Goddard's resignation serves as a warning that victims feel ignored and betrayed. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp said, "Victims and survivors have been betrayed over and over again, first by the authorities who ignored them, and now by a government that's watering down its own inquiry before it's even begun. Survivors will never get justice from the same institutions that failed them in the before. This inquiry must be led by a sitting or recently retired senior judge, not ex-police officers or social workers marking their own homework." The Conservatives are demanding a full statutory, judge-led inquiry into the rape gangs and the cover-ups that protected them. Every official, police officer and counsellor who enabled these crimes must face prosecution for misconduct in public office. No more delays, no more excuses, no more cover-up. The Home Office said it is working urgently to appoint the best chair for the inquiry and is putting victims and survivors at the heart of the process. A statement read, "The abuse of children by grooming gangs is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable. Any suggestion that this inquiry is being watered down is completely wrong. We are committed to delivering a robust, thorough inquiry that will get to the truth and provide the answers that survivors have so long campaigned for. We are working urgently to appoint the best chair to take forward this work and deliver justice, putting victims and survivors at the heart of the process. We are grateful to all those who have shared their insights with us. We share the concerns around unhelpful speculation while this process is live, which is why we will not be providing a running commentary. In January, the government committed to at least 5 local inquiries into grooming gangs and for police forces to reopen cold case investigations, and launched the rapid audit by Baroness Casey, who published her findings in June. The audit also pointed to limited data collection by police forces, local government, and health authorities. It was also found that ethnicity data went unrecorded altogether for 2/3 of gang abusers. Sakir committed to launching a fresh national inquiry to investigate the institutional failures in June. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.